Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Screen Chronicles. I'm Steve, and with me, as always, is the man who outran the three-legged dog, Heracles. He fought the two elderly women who were holding back the grocery store line, and he, of course, solved the puzzle, that only 24-piece puzzle with no picture on the front of it. We have Gobstone. Yes, indeed.
What you have heard is true. And today we are talking about episode 9 of season 5 of The Last Kingdom.
The second from the last episode of the final season of The Last Kingdom. We're going to give you, as always, our spoiler talk here in a bit, a little recap, our favorite moments, our best bro moments.
It's going to be so brief, you might pull a groin.
Yeah, you might pull 2 groins, maybe even 3.
Incredibly brief. What did you think of this episode, Steve?
I liked it. I generally liked it. The beginning was really good. I really enjoyed the beginning, and just like, here we go. We're moving towards the end.
Yeah.
And then I would say the second half, there was a lot of sort of, it was like set up for the final episode kind of stuff going on. So it slowed down a little bit for me, but there's a lot of, again, big moments in this episode before that happens when that's still going down. But I really, and to be clear, everyone, we are going to be talking today about episode 9 of season 5. We're not going to get any episode 10 here, though. So no spoilers for episode 10 if you haven't seen that, but anything up to that here, but in a bit. But we have seen the whole show. I've now watched it through twice. Little different perspective now, too, since I watched it the first time. But anyway, though, I liked it. I liked the episode. I was a little, actually, when I was watching, I was like, "Where this is the second from the end?" No, I was getting a little worried my first watch through.
Okay.
What did you think? What did you think?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I give this one a 9 out of 10 because it had some characters that mean a lot to me that are in this episode that I had not seen in a while. There is a lot of cool Constantine stuff in this episode, I have to say, and we get some cool bro mission stuff, which I liked. Which I really liked.
And let me say, too, I still really liked the episode. I liked it. When I was first watching it, I guess, I was a little concerned. So on the second watch through, though, I enjoyed it more. Let me clarify that, because that wasn't very clear. But yeah, I'd probably give it a 9 as well, just because, again, all the things you said, we start getting some more bro stuff going on that I feel like has been a little bit more scarce this season. And they do start handing you things like, here you go. Here's some things for you for your last episode here. I would say towards the end, though, still kind of like setting up.
It definitely sets it up really well, though.
It sets it up
really well.
So
and I thought it was still pretty exciting. I think we should just dive into it because a lot to talk about in this one.
Spoiler alert, people. Again, episode 9 of season 5 of Last Kingdom. If you like this talk we're giving here, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, follow, share, all that fun stuff. We have all of our social media linked in the description below. Make sure you check out all of our cast and crew talks, our other episode talks. Go to our channel, and there's all that fun stuff there.
We got more on the way.
More on the way. So many things.
So we left off last episode where Edward had been like, no, you guys cannot go to Bebbanburg. And everybody was really mad at him. So this episode starts where actually they're like sharpening axes, and Finnan's like, we got to get ready to go. They're trying to leave. And it's interesting here because I think Finnan says to Uhtred's like, he wouldn't attack Saxons, would he? Edward wouldn't attack Saxons, would he? And Uhtred's like, tell that to the Mercian Elderman. And so it's like, Edward, he's gone farther than we expected him to this season. So I wouldn't put anything past him.
No. And what's really cool, what eventually what ends up happening is he ends up going with them. He does change his mind.
Yeah.
Why he changes his mind, though, is because Aelswith goes to him and says,
chicken.
That's exactly what she does.
She's like, I know why you won't do it. It's because you're afraid. He's like, I'm not afraid. She's like, I'm your mom. I know when you're afraid.
I'm your mom, you punk.
And she's like, you won't do it, chicken.
You won't invade Bebbanburg, chicken. It's a bro moment here. We get a good bro moment here between the two of them.
Between mother and son.
Mother and son bro moment,
right?
Here, yes.
Right.
Little mother-son. I don't know if we've had a mother-son bro moment here mentioned before.
I think so. We've had father-son bro moment.
A lot of father-son.
Fought with Alfred and Edward.
Yeah, this is pretty cool here because she says which besides that, she says you're afraid, but she says you're not afraid of like going there. You're afraid of like living up to your dad's expectations and his dream and doing this stuff. And because Alfred was the one who envisioned all of England all together, but it didn't happen in his lifetime. Now here's Edward, and he's been pretty much doing it all in one season.
But last episode he was kind of giving up on it. He's like, I'm going to split Northumbria, and he's like, well, my father had a dream, but you know what, whatever. So I'm going to do this instead. So she's kind of talking to him about, look, you can do this. She's like, you're deserving of this. You are as good and honorable as your father. It was a pretty cool moment, and she's like, this is your destiny. Seize this moment. And she just walks away and gives him that to kind of chew on, I think. And chew on it he does, because when the boys get ready to leave, Uhtred, Finan, Aldhelm, there is a huge army outside the gates of Effowich there, and it's Edward at the head of it. And they're all like, oh crap, he's going to now kill us all.
We're dead. We're so dead.
This is an awesome moment.
Yeah, it's funny because he sets it up sort of in a way, it's like as if he was waiting for Uhtred. Is the way it was, as if this was like kind of part of the plan, and Uhtred was the one lagging behind. He's like, "Oh, to Bebbanburg, Lord Uhtred," which is, I mean, it was so sweet.
It was so sweet.
And Aldhelm's like, give him this moment, Uhtred.
Yeah.
And it was just like, sure thing, of course,
just
like we planned. And this what I was talking about. Even when I first watched it, I love this moment, just because it's just so. It's so rewarding that like someone is like finally like, Uhtred, let's take an army and let's go take back Bebbanburg for
Wessex
you, man.
Wessex has like always denied him. Even Edward himself has denied him a couple times on this quest. Even going back to season 4, he denied him when you thought Uhtred was like, Edward's my guy. He's totally going to give me men. It's been so hard to get support for this mission. Now, listen, they're not doing it for Uhtred.
No, the stars
wouldn't
kind
just
of
do it. Yeah, the stars have kind of aligned. Uhtred knows this. Uhtred even feels a little guilty about it. Like, this is kind of working out really well for me, even though he's kind of torn between his daughter, his kind of gone off. Right, exactly. So this is an awesome moment. This is sort of a bro moment, I thought.
Yeah, 100%.
Bebbanburg, Lord Uhtred.
100%.
Like, yeah, I love that.
There's a lot of little bro moments in this episode, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some cool bro moments in this episode for sure. But speaking of Bebbanburg, they then, by the way, the plan is for Edward and the guys and Uhtred. They're thinking, let's just cut off Constantine. Okay, they know the plan now, right? So let's cut Constantine off before he gets to Bebbanburg, because if he gets into Bebbanburg, it's going to be real tough to get him. So if we cut his army off, we should be good, and then we can just pin Ethelhelm down, get Aelfwine back. This is the plan. Okay. And so at Bebbanburg, Witgar and Ethelhelm are talking, and Witgar sees that Ethelhelm's just stocking up supplies. And he's like, what are you preparing for, a siege? And Ethelhelm kind of has an answer like, no, because, we don't want to overstay our welcome. We'll take this to go. Just put it in to-go boxes. But really, I think Ethelhelm, is preparing for a siege, possibly.
Oh yeah.
Using Witgar's fortress. It's just like,
with all the food he was like literally just talking shit on last episode.
I know.
He's like, let me just stock up on these sandwiches I was just crapping on.
Well, I like this part because, Ethelhelm walks away and Witgar's talking to his guy, and he's like, does your cousin still like ride with the Saxons? And Witgar's not dumb. He's like, yeah, that's why we're going to stay inside Bebbanburg. That's why we're not leaving Bebbanburg, because Uhtred's out there. And that's when my little song went off. Smart, 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 smart.
Yes.
Yes. And then they say, though, when the Scots come, set fire to that church. They show a church that you can see from the walls of Bebbanburg. And when that church is
It's
set
like
fire,
behind this
it's a
like
signal.
Tree clearing
Yeah.
though.
I just hope there's not a service going on when the Scots come. That'd be unfortunate.
Yes. Also, King Constantine does show up
Yes.
and to the fortress, and it's funny because they're all thinking like, no, he'll definitely show up with his army will go in first, and then he'll go in through the front gate, and then he just shows up right on the beach, first one off, just walks up to the fortress. He's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, literally, that's his attitude.
Just so
he's
peppy.
Like, my men arrive at the sea gate, but a king enters a fortress through the front.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like walks right past Whitgar. And Whitgar's face, like he looks back at him and he's like kind of confused because he's like, what kind of king is this at first that shows up like this?
Mm-hmm.
And Constantine and his like jolly, confident demeanor, I think Whitgar's a little impressed because he kind of has this look on his face like after he walks by. Maybe I'm interpreting that wrong. I think a little part of Whitgar is like, oh, this king is kind of cool.
I think everyone's thinking this.
Everybody's thinking this.
I think everyone's thinking that.
I love that part.
Yeah.
And he shows up too, but he shows it in, like he continues into Bebbanburg, and Ethelhelm's like, well, you weren't expected. And he's like,
oh, yeah.
I like to keep everyone off guard. And they're talking to him and they're like, well, now Edward's going to hear that you came. Like, why did you make it so obvious that you came? And he's like, I did not become a king to hide in a forest. And he's basically like, look, there's spies everywhere. They're going to find out anyway. So what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Why don't you just chillax?
Just chillax. I'm a king. I'm going to do what I want.
And now he sits at the head of the table, by the way, Constantine. And Aelfward comes down and he's like, oh, is this the boy that you want to make king? And he like offers him this advice that's also sort of a slam at Ethelhelm. And he's like, here's a piece of advice from a king to a future king. Never trust your advisors or something like that. Which is so funny.
He's a lot of great and not great advice too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it this episode where he's like, never meet a woman on an empty stomach?
Yeah, it's this episode. And so, yeah, Elfwin has already arrived. She's at Bebbanburg. And they're like, when he's sitting and eating dinner, like, oh, we'll go get your future bride. And, you know, as they're walking away, he's like, no. He's like, I'll visit her alone after.
Have to eat.
And at this point, when I'm first watching this, I'm thinking like, with everything I've seen with Constantine, like I'm worried, like
I was a little worried.
He's gonna like just force her into doing something.
I was a little worried about it too.
I was worried about it because I don't know him that well yet.
No.
I know I like him as like a bad guy right now. He's like someone that I think I'm supposed to not like, but he's cool, you know, sort of like a lot of the Danes have been. So, but yeah, he has that great line. And he's also says, you know, he keeps saying like, I will not sit and wait for an attack to Ethelhelm, because Ethelhelm keeps trying to convince him.
Hold out for a siege.
Yeah, just hold on for a siege. And he's like, it's cowardly. And that's a theme with Constantine we'll talk more about. But I think we should just jump right to that scene with Aelfwin then.
Yeah, absolutely. We have already talked to Rod Hallett, who plays Constantine in this show. And I was telling him, if you listen to that talk, this is Colby when I was first watching this show, when I was first watching the season, rather. He texted me and be like, there's this awesome guy. You have to wait. He's at the end of the season. There's these great moments. And I knew as soon as I saw this scene with him and Aelfwin, I was like, this is like a classic, like Eric and Ethelfled moment. Yeah. You know, and you always loved Eric. You know, I was like, This is definitely who's talking. And I love this scene though, too. As Steve, too. I really love this scene. One, it's so well done. And then two, it's kind of like gives you a new perspective on who Constantine is, just because he goes in and like you said, you're kind of like, what's going to happen? And he ends up pretty much saying like, I'm not going to have sex with you. I'm going to marry you and I'm going to leave you alone. And that's the way it's going to be. And
he's like, you can stay in any fortress you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to get rich off the lands of Mercia. He's like, I might visit there, but never your chamber. Like never your chamber.
It's so like, funny too. Like the more he says, like the less I am going to be involved with you and the less I care about you, like the happier she looks.
I know. He's like, and I will never love you, he says. And I think by the end of this conversation, she kind of loves him a little bit.
I know. She looked happy by the end. She was infatuated. She was like, this is the most honesty anyone's ever given me. Like, and he's like, all right, bye.
Yeah. He's like, he's so awesome in this scene, and
Yeah.
Rod Hallett delivers these lines so well that I think we all fall in love with him a little bit. I think we all just, you know, and she says to him, like, that's the first time someone's been honest with me in a very long time, and she kind of chuckles a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It was just, I don't know, it was just so funny when I was watching this, and he's literally like, I'm not gonna love you, I'm not gonna have sex with you, for like, we're probably not even gonna talk, and like she looks happier as he goes.
Yep.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah. But he also says this too, like he tries like approaching her nice, and he's like, why do you hate me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, because you're making me marry you, and I don't want to marry you. Isn't obvious? It's like, okay. And he's like, you know, it's not a terrible curse to, you know, you're going to be rich, you'll be well cared for, he says. And, you know, she's still cold to him, and he's like, who are you in love with? She's like, what? She's like, clearly, like, you're in love with someone. And she's like, I'm not going to share that with you. Like, you know, I just met you. And he's like, okay. But as I see it, you know, since we're going to be married, I should divulge my heart to you. And he's like, I am in love. The woman has taken herself. And he's like, I have no wish to betray her by humping you. He's like, she's married herself, but she is mine.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, he's got a deep backstory.
Yeah. But
you know?
a couple assassins, now those he can hump.
A couple assassins he
no,
humped
that's
earlier.
different.
We
No,
think he
that's
was something. Maybe they're just giving him a massage. I don't know.
Yeah, with a happy ending.
So awesome scene with Aelfwin, and as maybe Aelfwin's like, well, okay, maybe I don't want to be rescued now. Maybe I just
Sounds cool. All right, fine.
Sounds nice.
You know, like I was just kind of running around before this, so
I was just running around. Now you're offering me like a bunch of fortresses I can go stay at whenever I want and be rich, and
I'm not gonna be queen anymore.
Be a queen.
Like,
well, I'll be a queen, but
not with the Saxons. She wasn't.
Saxons. Yeah. How about be a queen again?
Let's go back. Like we said, Edward meets up with Uhtred and they ride out. And they're setting up camp and basically talking about their plan for going to Bebbanburg. And they hear Elfwin's at the fortress, and I don't know if they hear Constantine's there yet, but
first they hear that the Scots are leaving, or they've seen a boat leave and it's heading toward Bebbanburg. Mm-hmm. Citric always bringing that info.
Yeah, Citric with the info and the goddamn arms. His
there's
freaking arms. What?
There's a scene when like they're strategizing at the camp and he's standing sideways, and I'm like, that was intentional. That was intentional to show off them triceps.
Yes. He's always been lean too, you know, but like this season now he's not only lean, but his arms are like huge. Just blah,
it also looks like he just got a pump before every scene.
That might be it too.
But he's huge. And that happens too. Like when we see that, I love how they're trying to think of a way. How do we do this? How do we get into Bebbanburg? Because they've heard Constantine is coming. Finnan at first is like, why don't we just take the three of us and we go teach your cousin a lesson?
I love this. And this is the scene from the trailer that when it was all edited together, like it made me almost orgasm. But like in this moment here, like when he's just like, why don't we just take a couple of horses right out there and teach your cousin a lesson? It was just great because that's just how they do their missions. They're like, they ask for help, no one helps them, and they go get the mission done anyway, except that one time in Bebbanburg. But
right,
so, I mean, like that was pretty cool.
And speaking of that one time at Bebbanburg, Uhtred's still pretty doubtful here. We talked about it last episode, how he was doubting it, but he continues to be. And Finnan here is trying to talk him into it. Mm-hmm. And Uhtred's like, do I really waste all these people's lives? You know, risk their lives for this? And Finnan's like, yeah, that's what they've been waiting for. They want to be part of this. Like everybody's seen seasons 1 through 4. Like they want you to help you get Bebbanburg.
We saw Alfred on the horse at the end of season 3, holding up the sword.
You know,
like we want that. We want Northumbria. Come on, we want it.
And that's when the massive tricep dude Citric tells Uhtred that Constantine is already within. Okay. Now they're really concerned because they're like, we misjudged this. We thought we could cut him off. We misjudged it. They're still saying like, oh, well, maybe he's just there and the army's not there yet. You know, they're still like playing with that. So we might be okay. We're not sure right now.
So they want to get more info, and they're thinking maybe we could do some SEAL Team 6 stuff, get Elfwin out and like avoid some loss. during the fight here.
And because Edward's just like, well, let's just attack now then, just in case the army hasn't arrived.
Yeah.
And Aldhelm's like, well, do we really want Ethelhelm trapped in a corner like an animal with Aelfwin? Like, we don't know what he'll do. Uhtred then says verbatim, guys, let's do SEAL Team 6 shit. let's
go shady gang in here.
Yeah. No, but yeah, you're right. He comes in with this SEAL Team 6 plan. He's like, I know a way, but I can only take a few men.
And it leads to just an awesome moment.
Love
this moment. They end up taking like a pretty difficult trail to Bebbanburg. You know, like they got on old trails and the difficulty said, you know, was hard. It was hard.
Yeah, difficult. Yeah, max difficulty for this one.
Max difficulty. And then all of a sudden the bridge from the trail runs out. So they're like, well, we're just gonna have to climb vertically now. Bird poop all the way up this. I love just like the setting of Bebbanburg too, just like the bird poop in the ocean, and
it really feels like it's impenetrable.
And it feels like it's its own thing too. Like it feels so much different than all the other settings we go to in the show.
Totally. It is unique. And the other part I love too when they're planning this part is a cool smaller bro moment, because Uhtred's like, I can only take a few men. Uhtred's like, Pyrlig, are you strong enough to join us? And Pyrlig's like, are you strong enough to stop me? And I'm like, that's awesome. I love
Pyrlig, man.
That's a great line. And
Pyrlig has had a lot a moments. He hasn't won all of mine, but he's had a pretty large amount of bro moments.
Yeah,
like this season.
Totally.
And the only reason I don't think he's been taking all of them is just because this is the last season. There's so many other huge things that happen pretty much every episode.
They're not always the most significant bro moments. They're like really cool ones and they're small. But, you know, I mean, what he did for Brita was way more than she deserved, but that was a lot to do with his faith.
Mm-hmm. Him and Finan, him and Uhtred.
Yeah, he's in a lot. He's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. And I love that moment too. Yeah.
And before the boys start on the really hard all trails trail along the cliff of Bebbanburg, Uhtred's like, all right, I got to go get help from someone. And I know someone who can help us.
Oh.
And so they go to
Bay.
Oh my God. I love this part. It's just, well, they go and Uhtred's like looking for someone and there's just a bunch of people around. There's people selling stuff. And he sees this woman with hair and she turns around and it's somebody we don't know.
But she's blonde.
But she's blonde and
she's a nun. So
she's in nun clothes. So we're like, could that be? And then she turns around and it's not. And it's like, oh, damn. But then somebody's creeping on Uhtred and they just show and
it's Hild.
It's Hild. And I'm like, Hild. Oh my God, it's Hild. Oh my God. We love Hild.
I think everyone loves Hild. But we love her more.
Who doesn't love Hild? Hild is awesome. And she's been gone all season. She was not in season 4 very much, just a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, we saw her in the beginning, and
it has to do with her character's phased out of the warrior stuff. She's not going to be with Uhtred for a lot of this stuff anymore.
And she's not. I don't think she's really present in the books at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. After like her season 2 sort of skint. I mean, Uhtred will talk about her every now and then in the books. He'll like bring up
as a memory.
People he's dated and stuff. But yeah, it's great to see them.
This is awesome.
I wish he would have said his line that you're too good a woman for God alone in this episode. I wish he would have said that. I wish that he would have said that.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
I love that. Well, I love it when they do that.
That's such a good line, and it's so true. So he tells her, "I've come for Bebbanburg," and he's like, "I need help," and she immediately says, "No, he's too young," and he's like, "Not his," and it's just like. There we go. We're getting closer to this mystery person that we think is going to be Uhtred's son, who, we're starting, we got a little hint earlier in the season. But we don't know yet. But he asked, is Heston still around these parts? Is he still in these lands? Heston is just wheeling and dealing here. And this is a pretty cool moment too. He comes up behind him, puts the hilt of wasp sting in his back, and Heston's just like, steal from me and you will regret it. And Uhtred just starts laughing, and Heston turns around. He's like, God damn it, Uhtred.
I love their relationship. It's so There's this animosity between the two of them, because they've betrayed and fought against each other. And Heston was just king of the shit talk in season 4.
He was.
He hung him, and he tried to kill him by hanging him upside down. The most creative, James Bond way of killing anyone that we've seen in the Last Kingdom.
Yes.
But they still they're not out to get each other. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. They don't want to kill each other all the time. I mean, it was in Heston's best interest to kill Uhtred at the time, I think, because he wanted to impress Sigtrygger. But now they've both grown older, and Heston doesn't really seem interested in fighting anymore. And he's a very successful businessman now.
Yeah.
So he's and Uhtred's just I need your help to take Bebbanburg. Heston's just no, absolutely not. No.
And Uhtred's well, you can get some shit out of the deal. And he's you son of a bitch, I'm in.
And he's he's basically I'm busy making silver. One of the lines that gets him though is that Uhtred's will they let you enter Valhalla for just making a lot of silver? And Heston thinks about it a second, but he still is going to refuse. And he ultimately says, I'm going to pay you. You're going to get something out of it. And he's you'll know I'll have enough when I take Bebbanburg. You'll know I have enough.
I'm good for it when I got Bebbanburg. I'm good for it.
And Heston, I think at this moment, he's Uhtred.
He's definitely going to get
chances he's going to succeed. And he's this might not be smart of you. I'm not known for my loyalty. Hild, when Uhtred's on the way out, is maybe I should join you too. He's no, I don't want to bring you into this. And she's well, can we really trust Heston?
She's I want to be there to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, and also too, she talks Uhtred into this because he kind of goes to her. He's am I doing the right thing here? She's your motive is pure.
Again, Uhtred's still questioning whether or not Bebbanburg, if he should be doing that, which is so. I love it because it's something that he wanted so bad up until he failed in season 4, and now he's just kind of you can tell he had put that aside. He was I'm done. I'm done with that. So it's pretty cool that it's still something he's earning, working for in his mind,
Yeah.
But it's not just yep, all right, now Bebbanburg 100%, I'm down. I mean, it's definitely something he wants. But anyway, though, that's when they come up with a plan to sit down with Purelig, Hild,
the heist team.
I know we've got. I wish they would have done that sort of classic heist
montage
where they're showing each of the team players like the Ocean's 11 kind of thing. Oh, when we need a talker, someone who can talk us out of any situation. And
that's
then
right.
Show
we need a hacker. We need
someone.
And guess what Purelig is? Purelig is the getaway driver.
Yes.
Because Heston's why don't you tell him what you're gonna do, Purelig? That part where you sit on your ass.
That was a great moment.
Purelig's well, I'll drive the ship away once you guys come out.
And I don't think we've ever seen the two of them interact in any way. So it was kind of funny to see these two characters interact, Purelig and Heston. And the plan is, and what ends up happening is that Hild and Heston are going to use the fact that Heston is a known traitor. Mm-hmm. They're going to end up shipwrecked on the beach of Bebbanburg. That's going to bring down men away from the fortress and get people from looking around, so that Uhtred and gang can climb the rocks and sneak in through a weakened portion of the wall. And I like the two that, like we said, they end up having to climb up then, and when the trail ends, there's a moment where Finan almost falls and dies
because of a seagull, dude. Did you see that seagull?
Yes.
I want a spin-off series where Finan finds that seagull and it's just vengeance. It's just that seagull almost finished Finan, dude.
They pull him up and they keep going though. And it's a
cool moment though when they pull him up. They all kind of huge sigh of relief. They chuckle a little bit, they kind of hold each other.
Citric is laughing. Laughing as it's going down.
Finan's not laughing.
He's oh my god. And Uhtred's too oh my god. But it was just it was a great bro moment. Just seeing the three of them. Moment. I mean, first of all, they're climbing. They're doing a mission together, classic Last Kingdom style.
SEAL Team 6.
SEAL Team 6 stealth mission here. Breaking into Bebbanburg again. See the three of them just together on the wall.
Yeah.
Like that was just so cool. And they end up breaking through like these like mushy boards on the side. And I like to like it's not like easy to get to. It's not like anyone could have done it. It's like they're showing like you've got to climb rocks to get up to this like narrow ledge. And it's like only one section that's like this like it's like softer wood, and there's like some part that's like chipped away already.
Yeah. And it's like a part that probably, I can buy into this. If anybody said to me like, oh, well, it's just so convenient that there's a repair there that they can get in, I can buy this because this is also part of the wall that they probably would not, if they were going to lack anywhere around the wall, this is probably where they would sort of,
it's a side that has an ocean and a cliff.
So the chances of anybody coming up that are slim. Yeah. And
you definitely couldn't bring a large force of guys up that side.
And if the guards weren't distracted, they certainly probably wouldn't have succeeded. They would have gone in that room and been caught because they were like listening to hear. Mm-hmm. And the reason the guards aren't there is because Whitgar, who saw these, Heston and Hild had washed up on the shore. They're kind of pulling their supplies. And they're kind of debating, like, should we just go in? Like, Whitgar goes to Constantine and Ethelhelm, and he's like, everything that washes up is mine. It's on my land. And Constantine's like, well, if that's your rule, then so be it.
Yeah.
But then he's like, but I'd be wary of a ploy. Constantine's smart. And he's like, because, maybe they come in and we leave later, and all of a sudden you're going to be wanting us back. Because I think, Whitgar's kind of trying to push them out now. He's like, all right, like you're here, you can get married and like leave Bebbanburg alone. Mm-hmm. He's just like, get the hell out of my place. So that was a cool scene with Constantine.
When they do end up breaking into the fortress, and then while this is getting down, Uhtred ends up like putting like a helmet on to sort of cover up his face because he's known.
And Citric jumps in a bucket.
This is like great stealth though, right? Like people are coming.
Smoothest jump in the bucket is like, hide.
Yeah,
like not even a half a second. He's in the bucket.
That's what I was thinking. Like it was so smooth. Like it was smooth, like a panther just jumping into a bucket.
Like if you told me to hide, I'd need to do like a full 360, survey the area.
I would have been knocking shit over.
Citric just jumps in the closest bucket, like
bucket,
like
It's
Mario.
a small bucket. It's like probably Mario, like a foot tall. Like it's
like he gets right into it. Woo! Like Mario jumping into one of the pipes or something. I don't know.
just goes down. No, but it's pretty cool. And so they start sneaking around. We also see too, like Heston's kind of being bullied by Ethelhelm.
Yeah.
Because if you remember at the end of season 4, he was with Citriger when they were taking Wessex, and he was the one that like locked them up in the room, in the poopy room. So
yeah,
he's not a fan of him. So Heston's getting some crap too here.
And this was kind of weird to me though, because when Heston gets up to walk away, Ethelhelm like has the guards stand up and stop him, and is like, Heston, why don't you stay a while and chat? And nothing really came of that. I mean, maybe they were just showing that Heston was like trapped now in that hall.
Yeah,
because that's the next time we find him is in that hall. But like I thought we were definitely going to come back to like Ethelhelm having him tortured or something. Or
I think what was going on with like these scenes, like they take away the weapons, they separate the two of them. I think they were just trying to like show like this is the delay in the mission here. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Right.
Because as this is all going on, because the mission is being delayed here, Edward ends up saying, well, let's grab the troops. I'm going. Like, I don't care. Like I trust Uhtred, but this is taking too long. I don't want to be surrounded by the Scots. Let's take Bebbanburg while we have the men, and just take it, before we get rear-ended here by the Scots. Yeah. So he rides out,
and nobody wants him. Like everybody's disagreeing with him. Aldhelm disagrees with him. Ethelstan, I think, disagrees with him, but he's like, but we have to listen to him. He's the king.
Yeah.
Ellsworth even says like, ooh, maybe I gave him too good of a pep talk. So they're concerned about this for sure.
But it's also like this doesn't feel like season 4 Edward, where it's just like dumb decision, Edward. Like to me, like
no,
I can see his point of view. Like,
yeah,
like the Scots are going to come if we don't move and just take it now. Sure, Elfwin might get killed,
Yeah.
But
he shows that he doesn't really care about Elfwin here too.
yeah, like I'm ready to just take the fortress, punish my son, end Ethelhelm's betrayal and all of his schemes, and let's just get this done. Let's get this last kingdom.
Yeah. So he's done waiting. He's, and he also kind of has some choice words about Uhtred and like thinking, is Uhtred doing this for the wrong motivations?
They end up showing the boys when they're sneaking around the fortress too here then as it's going down. And this is a great moment because like Mark Rowley, who plays Finan, he's playing an Irishman, and in real life he's a Scot.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's down below, there's a Scot, King Constantine, who is played by an English actor. Like there's plenty of Scots around. So the plan is if we get someone talks to us, we'll use a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think I could fake one. And when they end up, then it's Whitgar and his men. They end up catching Sihtric and Finan and be like, hey, what are you doing here? Like you need to go somewhere else. Because Finan does do a Scottish accent then.
Yeah. Which is Mark Rowley's real accent.
Yes.
Which is hilarious. And I think anybody who knows Mark Rowley is actually Scottish got a real big kick out of that moment.
I got
like we did. I like that a lot. And I know we gotta, if we have Mark back on the podcast, we gotta ask him about that. If that was, something he wanted to happen. Whose idea was that to have him? Because that is cool.
Like it's funny humor. It's kind of breaking the fourth wall, really different for the Last Kingdom, but like it makes sense though too. Like it's not like he's just going to a Scottish accent for no reason. It's because
if you're someone who doesn't know the actors, like if we were watching this and we hadn't known anything about the actors, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. It was like, oh, okay, he's just trying to impersonate a Scottish person. That's smart. But if you know the actors, it's kind of a cool little thing.
But they do end up getting caught. Luckily, Uhtred was wearing a helmet and was just like facing the wrong direction, so they didn't catch him.
At first, like they were all together and they come out on the board and he sees on the other side of this walkway is Whitgar. And Uhtred like instinctively starts like hard walking at Whitgar. Like, I'm just going to end this shit now. He's just going to take him out. And Finan and Sihtric are like, no. But Uhtred doesn't listen. He's on his way. And that's when Whitgar's man comes down the stairs and Uhtred kind of turns his back then. And that's how like Finan and Sihtric are like separated from him now. So Uhtred's kind of not noticed because they're focusing on Finan and Sihtric. And I love the moment too when they're like, Whitgar is like kind of whining like to Constantine, like, what the heck? Like, why are your men up here? This is not where they're supposed to be. And Constantine is like, he's no man of mine. I think you've been fooled or something like that. And
I really like Constantine in the fact like these are obviously the people that are helping him reach his goals, and he wants to help them help him to get there. But like, and he'll offer advice, but he's never like trying to make moves for the betterment of everyone else. Like if he would have noticed those guys and noticed that they weren't his men, he might not have said anything, but because like someone brought it up to him, he's like, those aren't mine. Those are my guys,
Yeah. And so Finan and Sihtric get captured, and if you remember early on when Uhtred said, like, what if you guys get captured? Finan and Sihtric are like, oh, we have a plan. That's all I'm going to say.
We have a plan. This then starts to confirm then what Constantine had said earlier. Like maybe people are trying to, get in here. This is a pretty tense time right now. We've got an army coming. We have a hostage. We have a marriage. We have a king's son. There's a lot of things going on here. And so then he's like, all right, well, now we definitely have people who've snuck in. And he even says, like, are you also shipwrecked Danes?
Yes.
And then later on, and it's great. It's a great moment. It's a sad moment. When I was watching it, there was a really cool. So what happens is Heston,
yes,
he's on the mission with Hild to, in part try and get Elfwin, get her to the boat, and get the hell out of Dodge.
And because remember, Heston was originally Eric's guy.
Eric's man. If you remember who Eric is, Eric was the brother to Siegfried and Eric. They were the two they were Northmen, not Danes, but they were the Norsemen in season 2 of The Last Kingdom, who ended up when they had captured Ethelfled, Eric had ended up falling in love with Ethelfled, and they did the horizontal tango, and she got pregnant.
They made an Elfwin.
They made Elfwin, and Elfwin was raised as Ethelfled and Ethelred. Ethelred, who was the king of Mercia, died in season 4. They raised her though as their child,
right,
even though she was really Eric's child. So everyone sort of just assumed that though, because she like came back pregnant,
right?
You know,
yeah. And Ethelred knew it too.
Ethelred knew it too, but
and I don't know what she knows though. She probably doesn't know anything about Eric. I would assume
no.
And so when Heston says to her, like, you know, I was a friend of your true father.
Yeah, when he's trying to get her to come with him,
he wants to rescue her. Yeah,
I thought that was a really cool moment.
And I can buy into that moment because, you know, Heston is not a noble character, but like for him to do that for Eric, that would make sense to me, to do something like that to honor Eric's memory.
Yeah, I think he's always been someone he goes with where the victory's going to be kind of thing. He's almost like Rumvald in that sense throughout the show. But I think he liked Siegfried and Eric, even though Eric gave him a good old beat down the one time when he was trying to assault Ethelfled.
That's true, but that's probably the way of the Danes a little bit.
That's how Danes go. Danes go.
You know?
So because he's doing this, Elfwin starts freaking out, and King Constantine comes rolling in with his men, and it's just like, oh shit. And you can see that look on Heston's face too. He's just like, he ends up getting cornered by them. Constantine puts a sword to his chest, and he's just like, oh, like, you're obviously not just a shipwrecked Dane. You know, what are you really here for?
Yeah.
Hild's watching in the rafters, and Heston's like, I don't know any men. And he because Constantine also brings up that he has Finan and Citric. He's like, I don't know any other men. I know no one else. I'm here's a traitor, and I don't know anything.
And this is after Constantine had said to him, like, if you tell me where the others are and you tell me everything, like, only they will die. You won't die. Which Constantine thinks, like, I know this kind of guy. This will get him. This will get the information.
Yeah.
And this is a very surprising moment for Heston.
Yeah. He says, you know, like, I know no one. I'm not going to do anything. And Constantine ends up killing him.
The stab, though.
He just stabs him through, and he just leaves the sword in. He turns around and starts drinking wine.
Just starts drinking.
Man, I don't know how I feel about this. You know, we talked to Jeppe Bike Larson twice. We really like him. We really enjoy him.
We love you.
I love to hate Heston, and I hate to love Heston sometimes. You know, because like he's just so fun. I mean, like when he was shit talking Uhtred after the whole Biaka Bebbanburg fail back in season 4, like I just like he had no reason to do that, but like that's just the way Heston is, you know. Like I just love that. It was kind of like a cool James Bond villain moment when he tied them upside down in the woods kind of thing, and
super cool. He
did fight Bloodhair. So I mean, in the moment with Ethelfled. Ethelfled.
He's had a lot of great moments.
He's had a lot of great moments. So I wanted him, you know, if you remember, him and Uhtred met because he was actually captured after when he was with the brothers, Siegfried and Eric, when the town revolted and took back their own town from the Danes. He was prisoner, and Uhtred freed him as a prisoner. So that's how they met. So there's always been like this thing between the two of them, like we were saying earlier. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I wanted Uhtred to kill him. I don't know if I wanted. I think this is pretty much kind of what I wanted, in the sense that he was gonna try and do something for Uhtred and die. You know, I think that's I think that's what I wanted, and I think that's what I said.
I kind of wanted that. I think I said something like, when he came in, I thought he was going to unexpectedly save Uhtred at a moment where we least expected him to show up. But this is kind of doing some kind of similar. Like, this is the last thing I expected him to do, was to throw himself onto the sword for Uhtred, to save Uhtred.
And it's not really directly Uhtred. I mean, he knows Uhtred's there and he doesn't
Right.
know who the prisoners are, I guess. So I mean, like in his mind, maybe it is Uhtred who's captured and he's gonna he's gonna give him a chance to live. So
or something. Yeah.
now I'm talking it out. Maybe I do like it. I don't know. I
want to talk to Yeppa about it. I want to see her, like what was going through Heston's mind here.
Because yeah, like you said, this is so uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah.
But the thing is though, he's changed. Like he's not a fighter anymore in any way. He's not pretending to be. He's a traitor, and like it almost sounds like he has PTSD or something from a sword. It's like it sounded like what they hinted at when we first ran into him. It was like, there was something that happened that made him put down the sword, kind of thing. So
yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to know more about that backstory, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Which is why I was kind of disappointed when he died. I was like, what happened? Why did he change? This moment, it does seem like it could potentially make sense because he has changed, and it's like,
right.
He is different. And again, too, he's doing something noble though, instead of running away.
And maybe too, in his mind, he thinks this is what's going to get him into Valhalla. This is something that will, because he's got to know his past a little bit is a little sketchy. It's a little not always doing the right thing.
Not the most honorable thing.
Not the most honorable thing.
Doesn't always mean like right for the Danes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he also did some stuff that was surprising with Edith at the end of 4, like helping her at times. He was taking care of her. So he definitely has a lot of good in him, along with a lot of not so good, I think.
Yeah.
That's what makes him such an interesting and cool character. And I'm certainly sad to see him die.
What'd you think of the death, though? What'd you think?
The stab was freaking amazing, by the way. That stab, watch the stab again, everybody, because he doesn't just stab him once. He thrusts it first, and he gets like one more good, like Rod Hallett, like steps into it. Just a fantastic stab, Rod.
Is Yeppa okay?
Like,
okay.
Well, yeah, I thought the death, I thought it was like a little uncharacteristic of Heston to do what he did. Like I think what we expect of him is to just save himself.
Yeah.
That's what I would have expected from him. But that's, I think, what makes this moment so special is that he has come to a full change.
And it gets him killed.
And it gets him killed, right? Which he knew was going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, like, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Like, I definitely wanted Heston to die. Not because I hate him or anything. It was just because, like, he needs to die, like he's
and also like when we made our things, we said what we wanted to, like we thought it was like the end of the Last Kingdom. We didn't know a movie was going to be coming at the time.
Yeah.
And maybe when this was written too, they didn't know there was a movie. But cool death though.
It was cool. And it was cool that Hild got to see it so she could tell.
As Heston's dying, he like looks up at Hild. And like nobody notices. No, like Constantine doesn't notice.
Well, Constantine was getting a drink,
I know he was thirsty from that fucking awesome stab.
He's like,
like
parched, parched, and it was a pretty cool dying scene too. Like as far as like, kind of like in disbelief, like oh shit, and then there's like a sword in, like there's a sword in me, like I'm,
yeah.
And then
Yeppa did a great job.
Yeah. I think he's worthy from that for getting into Valhalla. But technically, does he get into Valhalla?
I know. I can just see people at the gates. It's like, do you have proof of identification with a sword in hand? Like, no, we get it. You check all the boxes, but we have to have proof. I'm sorry.
The sword in the hand, though, is the rule. But
sort of.
He had a sword in his body. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he grabbed it.
Loophole, Valhalla loophole. I mean, I want him to go to Valhalla. I want him to go to Valhalla for that.
I know, he's such a great Viking. He's such a great Dane.
He's a great Dane. Definitely gonna miss Heston.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish we would have got some more shit. But I love what we got from him this season. I did.
Me too. He was awesome. He's had a great run since season 2. He became a character who, maybe shouldn't have been as prominent as he ended up being in the show based on the books. And by the way, he's very different than the books. I don't know if he's likable at all by the end of his arc in the books. And Uhtred like has no respect for him in the books. But in the show, just a testament to Jeppe Beck Larsen to how good he played his character, that he became a prominent and like nostalgic character by the end of season 5. Like he shows up on the screen. He's like, oh, there we go. It's Heston. That's awesome. So yeah, that was Heston's death.
Heston dies, and
Heston dies.
they start to get ready then, and Edward ends up rolling up to Bebbanburg with the army.
He does.
And there's a great moment when Whitgar and his man, they're up on the ramparts looking out, and Edward sends Ethelstan to go speak.
Yes,
which is pretty sweet. Pretty moment.
Pretty awesome. And he's basically like, give us Ethelhelm and Aelfwin, and we will not attack. And he's like, if you don't, none will survive.
None will survive.
Like, none will survive. Okay, bye. And it was pretty sweet. Harry Gilby coming out with, we're just seeing him slowly become a king. We're seeing him slowly like molding into this king-like guy.
I love that he is just eating this shit up. You know what I mean? Like Ethelstan is just eating up like his dad's approach to this situation here.
He's like such a great student.
Yeah.
Too.
He's like, oh, I get to ride out. Like, like when he was like, when he said none will survive, like I'm sure Edward didn't say like, all right, make sure you mention we're going to kill all of them. He's just like, he probably said like, tell them, we're going to come in there and we'll kill, we'll fight and they'll lose kind of thing. And he's like, so he adds a little spunk to it too.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I really love that he was just eating this up and just loving being involved in this.
Totally. I think that's pretty much it for this episode too.
Yeah, that's where it ends. Uhtred running around the fortress on his own. We have Finn and Citric locked away. Hild's running around now. Heston's dead. Constantine and everyone else is getting ready for marriage, and now we've got Edward's army lined up at Bebbanburg,
ready to attack. So
Colby,
awesome.
What was your favorite moment from the episode?
Oh, favorite moment first today.
Let's go favorite moment. Let's mix it up.
My favorite moment this episode. Oh, and you could almost call this bro moment too, but there's so many other bro moments. That scene with Aelfwin and Constantine. I would have to say that, but also to Bebbanburg and Lord Uhtred was also a moment I freaking love.
That's definitely mine. Is when they say to Bebbanburg, Lord Uhtred, that the army's just riding out. We even there's even like a sunset shot of the men like practicing their sword strikes and stuff.
Yes. That was a great shot too.
I love
ready.
That.
That was cool. There's a lot of these moments that are also, like favorite moments. You could also call bro moments. Like you could call Constantine and Aelfwin a bro moment. Like he was a total good dude to her, like when you didn't expect it. Yeah. But that's just who he is too. You could call Heston's a bro moment for saving the bros, that was a bro moment. I consider Edward saying to Bebbanburg Lord Uhtred a bro moment.
Yeah.
But what would you pick for your bro moment?
Bro moment, I'm gonna have to just say either the bros just climbing the mountain together, or like I said, I loved when, like you said, the Pure Leg moment, like, hey, you want to come with us? You're strong enough to stop me, and then we just see all of them walking out to go do the mission. And I think they even say when is it Cainlith who's the new
Cainlith? Oh yeah, when he shows up one time,
he's like, hey, I'll go with you guys soon. Like, no, this is the team. You're not part of the team. Like. Like,
also early in the episode, Cainlith shows up when they're all marching, and he's like, "Oh, I had an amazing adventure," and Finnan's like, "No, Cainlith, no, not the time."
Yeah, that was funny. So I mean, I love seeing Finan, Citric, Uhtred all together. I'm gonna make it hard. It's on the cliff face.
Oh, okay.
When they save him,
face,
and just the three of them lined up in that shot together, like holding on to each other.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
I just love that. I love the shot, like, and I love.
That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
I don't know. It was just so symbolic for their relationship, and like here they're going into Bebbanburg. You know what I mean? It was just yeah.
Okay, you pick that one.
You can.
I'm gonna pick.
You can have that one too.
No, well, that would be another one. I really love when Edward says to Bebbanburg then Lord Uhtred. I love that too.
Again, I definitely, if it was a little unclear when we first started, I liked this episode way more. My second watch through, just my first watch through, I just had all these expectations of what I wanted from the ending, instead of just appreciating what I was getting, sort of thing. So second watch through, it was definitely a 9. from me though. I've definitely enjoyed it.
Cool. Let us know what you thought. I want to hear what people thought about the Heston death too. What was your opinion of Heston and the choice he made at the end? And tell us your favorite moments, your favorite bro moments. A lot of cool ones in this episode. Really good episode, setting up the last one. Can't wait to talk about the last one. We might do it right now. I don't know.
Yes, we will.
So yes, we will. So go ahead and we'll see you there for that one. And it's like we always say.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And destiny is all.